everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'm going to do a wrap-up of the month of November. I'm pretty happy with the month of November. I read a total of 4 books and I gave all the books 4 to 5 stars on Goodreads, so I'm pretty happy that I picked books that I actually liked reading. So without any further ado, I'm just gonna dive right in. The first book I read was The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I think this is quite a known book, but for those who don't know what it's about, it is a book that is set in World War II and we follow a young girl through the course of her life, and she lives in a German town during World War II. But the special thing about this book is that it is narrated by Dad, which doesn't really make it creepy or anything, it just makes it a bit more sad. I'm not gonna give any spoilers away or anything, but it is a book set in World War II, so naturally it is not a happy book. When I finished reading it, I was not okay for a few hours. I don't normally read a lot of books that make me sad. Normally when I read books I want to feel happy, but when I pick a sad book I really want it to grab me and I really want to feel all the emotion, and that book did this for me. It was so sad, so beautiful in the end. I heard some reviews about people who think this is a boring book. I can see why, because it is a very descriptive book about the lives of people in a town in Germany during World War II and how their life is like. So there's not too much action, but that is something that I actually don't mind. For me, getting to know all those people in the town and learning how they live their day-to-day lives made me really care about those characters, and that is what made this book so emotional, because you're generally concerned about all the characters that you meet, and they're not necessarily good characters either. They're just people. They're good, they're bad, they're just great characters, like people actually existed that way. So I definitely recommend this book for anyone who hasn't read it. Just go buy it or loan it from the library and just read it. It's really amazing. The next book that I read this month was a Belgian book or a Flemish book, and that is KongoKorset by Herlinde Leyssens. I am actually going to do a review about this book, so I'm not going to tell too much about it here, but basically we follow a young woman named Gabrielle, and she lives in the 1900s, and she's actually the first woman to travel through Congo. I really enjoyed reading this book. I gave this one 4 stars, and that was mainly because I thought the second half was way better than the first half, so that kind of brought it down for me. But still, this is just a book about feminism, romance, adventure. You kind of everything I like in books is pretty much in here, and it's based off a true story, and I'm very glad that I got to meet Gabrielle and that I know her story now, and yeah, I definitely recommend it for all the Belgian readers or the Dutch-speaking readers out there. The third book I read was The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. Oh my god, this book was just so mind-blowing. I mean, for everyone who has read it, you know what I mean. But for those of you who haven't read it yet, it's basically a murder mystery, and we follow a guy who is in a time loop and he keeps living the same day over and over again, but every time he's in a different person. So he has, I think, 7 or 8 hosts, and he can actually interact with himself during the day. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing. I don't really think about the time loop thing too much, but it's so good. It reminded me a lot of Cluedo, or I think it's called Clue somewhere in the world. I don't know if you know that game, but it's also kind of a murder mystery game, and you have to figure out who killed who, with what weapon and in which room, and it's basically that game in a book. So I mean, that just sounds so cool. And he kind of has to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle, who is a girl living in a mansion where all of the story takes place. The plot is so amazing. There are like plot twist and plot twist and plot twist everywhere, and I mean, you really have to keep your attention with it, because I'm someone, I want to figure it out before the guy figures it out. I couldn't do that, didn't work out. But I mean, if you really like murder mystery, but with a fantastical time loop element in it, this is so the book for you. I mean, I'm not kidding, you should definitely read it. I gave this book 5 stars on Goodreads. I mean, I can't think of anything bad to say about this book. And now the fourth and last book that I read last month was actually a book that we picked for my book club. I don't know if I told you about this, but I have a book club with a couple of colleagues and friends. And basically we read one book every month and we all read the same book and then we discuss that book. And this time we chose The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I mean, this book is just so hyped and it's been on my TBR for a couple of months now. And I'm really glad that I finally read it. Basically in this book we follow a young girl who sees her best friend got shot by the police, and she is a black girl and her friend was a black guy, and the police kind of shot the black guy made out of assumptions that he was a gangster or something. And we follow this girl who sees this happening and is obviously impacted by this and traumatized by this. And then we actually follow that girl trying to get justice for her friend who got murdered. And yeah, I'm not gonna spoil if she gets it or not, but it's such an interesting read. It is highly relevant in today's society, so I think people really should read this book. I must say, I have to be honest, I had some troubles with this book. On Goodreads I gave this 4 stars, but I was really doubting between 3 or 4 stars, but because I really enjoyed reading it and I really liked the characters a lot, I tended to give this 4 stars. But my issue with this book is kinda that we have a lot of opinions about race, about shootings, about gangsters. There's so many opinions about it, but I don't think they're always very nuanced. And I think it's kind of okay for this book because we follow this young black girl and we follow her story because she feels that way, she experiences that way, and it's what a lot of people are experiencing every day. But I kind of hoped that the overall message would be that it doesn't matter who you are or what color you are, or if you're Asian or Belgium or American or black or white. It doesn't matter. Everyone should be treated with respect, and you cannot just make assumptions about somebody based off their color of their skin. But in this book I found that it was very much the perspective, which is logical because we follow this 16-year-old black girl and it is her perspective that we see and learn and read about. But obviously everyone has its own opinions about this matter. I also have my opinions, and sometimes I found that my opinions were different from the opinions in the book. But in the end it's kind of okay because it is a book that makes you think about it, and that is important, just to think about it, think about what's happening, think about yourself and your attitude towards these problems that still exist. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that I gave it 4 stars in the end. I hope all of this makes some kind of sense for you guys. I don't want to say too much because I won't spoil anything for you, but I think you should read this book because, as I said, it is highly relevant in this day's society. So this was my reading wrap-up for the month of November. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you soon. Bye!